Madam Mayor went to the state representative, Kat McCamick, about this whole issue. And you know what she had to say? Russ The Suss asked the Florida Commission, no, he begged the Florida Commission to actually get his mayorship back, even though he's under investigation, a very deep and thorough investigation for horrific things he's done to the residents of Otter Creek. And I've got their response. The election 2023, Madam Mayor Therese actually appointed Russ The Suss to the one-year term. And then once she resigned, he tried to take the mayorship back. And when he wasn't successful, he actually had help. He did not write this complaint to the Florida Elections Commission, begging for their help, and they responded. So we're going to look at quite a few things. Number one, the letter that they sent to town of Otter Creek, what the administration of the town of Otter Creek sent back, and then their response to his allegations and his plea for help. So first here, this is a certified letter that was sent to, of all people, Rosemary Severino, town clerk. This is insane. March 13th, 2024. The Commission of Elections doesn't even have the right information. Not only is Rosemary not there and should never be there again, all the corrupt and illegal things she was doing in that office, but then there was Mary after that, Mary DeGroot, who was just doing the exact same thing. Belinda is in the office now.
There was one other town clerk in between that as well.
And there were some other part-timers as well, which all that money is wasted. It's all gone, and the town residents have nothing for it. So first of all, the Florida Elections Commission sent this letter to the wrong person. That should be pretty alarming, but let's go on and look at it anyway. Because what this letter is about is saying, hey, we've had a complaint. And it says case number, respondent, Town of Otter Creek Administration, and we've kind of removed some information here. Dear Ms. Severino, on March 8th, 2024, the Florida Elections Commission received the enclosed complaint alleging that your committee violated Florida's election laws. Section 106.25, parentheses 2, Florida statute states this: the respondent shall have 14 days after receipt of the complainant to file an initial response, and the executive director may determine the legal... All right, you read it. I can't read upside down.
May not determine the legal sufficiency of the complaint during that time period.
Okay, so they're stating the statute that now the town of Otter Creek gets an opportunity to respond to those allegations. And it goes on to say, should you choose to file a response to the complaint, please send it to my attention at the address listed above. You may also send your response to my attention at, and it's given an email address, which we've redacted. You'll be notified by letter whether the complaint is determined to be legally sufficient. Keep that phrase in mind, legally sufficient. Please note, what's it say there, George?
Please note that all documents related to this matter will be mailed to the above address unless you notify us of a new address.
Okay, well, first thing that needs to be notified is a new person is in charge. It's actually ridiculous that government is that far behind. I mean, it's been years since Rosemary's been doing her corrupt things in that office. Pursuant to Section 106.25, Florida statutes, complaints, investigations, investigative reports, and other documents relating to, and highlighted here, alleged violation of Chapters 104 or 106. And keep emphasizing and in mind, alleged violation. Russ The Suss is alleging the violation, which he couldn't even verbalize on his own. That's pretty sad. For somebody to allege a violation when they couldn't even write up the documents to actually allege it. That's pretty pathetic, in my opinion. All right. Florida statutes are confidential until the commission finds probable cause or no probable cause unless the respondent files a written waiver of confidentiality with the commission. The confidentiality provision does not apply to the complainant or the respondent. This is what that means. Everything is confidential. We're not going to release any information until the investigation is completely and totally over. and that investigation is over, and we're going to share the results with you. Should you retain counsel, your attorney must file notice of appearance with the commission before the member of the commission staff can discuss the case with him or her. And for additional information, please refer to the commission's website. Sincerely, an individual agency clerk, enclose the complaint with attachment and the USB drive. Now, we've already shared the complaint, okay? No problem there. And then now the town has an opportunity to respond, but it's not Mary or Rosemary Severino responding. I believe this response is probably, let me see here, is probably by somebody in the current administration. Yep, there we go. Right there. It's from Belinda Clerk, Town, Otter Creek. Okay, so we're actually getting somebody that knows some things, that is actually very wise and has a detailed background and doesn't need somebody else to, type up their complaints for them like Russ The Suss. Okay. Now, this is rather lengthy, but hold on here with me, okay? So you can see here by electronic and U.S. mail, and it goes to the Elections Commission. This is response to the election complaint by Russell Meeks Sr. All right, so Russ The Suss, he says, I was illegally put in the seat. Help me. The town of Otter Creek says this, all right? This is lengthy, so hold on with me. The correspondent serves as the town of Otter Creek administrative response to the complaint filed by the councilman Russell Meeks, received by the commission on March 8th, 2024. In other words, this is saying, I'm Belinda, and I'm the representative of the town of Otter Creek. I will be responding. In order to understand the intricacies of Mr. Meeks' election and upcoming re-election, which gives rise to this complaint, it's necessary to understand several charter provisions governing council members, their election, their terms, and the filling of vacancies. Now, you know Don always wants to go back to the charter. You got Megan, the lawyer, saying many things in the charter are illegal. And now Belinda's going to take him straight to the charter, which is funny because the charter says nothing about this type of situation and scenario. The law says nothing about this situation and scenario, which is why Madam Mayor said, Russ The Suss, you get the 1-year seat. And he was so arrogant that he was going to become the new mayor. He proclaimed that he was literally going to take the town back, didn't file his Form 6, and did not file to be in the 2024 election. Now where has he been? He's stomped out, and he's gone. He's been behind the scenes messing around.
I do want to add, if the residents of Otter Creek loved him so much and he was so confident that he would get back, why not just run for the 1 year after his 1-year term was over?
If he cared so much, why isn't he at the meetings?
True that.
Okay.
That as well.
All right. Yes, we do have a light out here.
Why worry about a 1-year term when you could easily be reelected again if people support you that much?
That is true.
Right?
I mean,
or if the residents support him.
If they are so supportive of Russ, why does he care? Why would
you
he
shouldn't worry.
You
shouldn't have to worry.
Just ran again.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
But he wants to go the difficult route.
Well, that's the way it goes. All right. The town of Otter Creek was incorporated by a special act of legislation in 1969. If you want to know when Otter Creek was incorporated, it's 1969.
Oh, that was a good year.
That was a good year. That is definitely a good year. Summer of 69 was one of the best. I wasn't born and you weren't, but I love the song. Go get him, Bryan Adams. It's something you probably should consider is when I talk about unincorporating, 1968. Was the town of Otter Creek unincorporated or incorporated? Unincorporated. Was incorporating done to it in this time? Now, I'm sure, I have no doubt whatsoever, that Mr. and Mrs. Hudson, when they incorporated the town of Otter Creek, they did it for all the right reasons, and the residents loved it, and they took care of each other, and they loved each other. But now it has spiraled under control under the bad circumstances and influences of Russ The Susses and Don the Cons and people along those types of nature. So, it was Special Act of Legislation in 1969, Section 1.030A. The town's charter provides that the town council shall be comprised of 5 councilmen. All councilmen are elected at large, and there are no districts, no numbered seats. Keep that in mind. There is no numbered seats. That's where they screwed up. From here on out, all the seats are going to be numbered. Seat number 1, you run for seat number 1. You run for seat number 2. You run for seat number 3. You run for seat number 4. You run for seat number 5. All right, let's keep going, though. Okay. Within the town of Otter Creek, the 5 seats following the initial election, which all 5 council members were elected, the charter provided that all terms shall be for 2 years. The charter goes on to state that the intent of the section is to provide for a staggered term of office for the members of the council. 3 members shall be elected in the odd number years. 2 members will be elected in the even number years, so to serve until the duly elected successors are elected and qualified. Keep that in mind that every year the town of Otter Creek has an election. One year it's 3 people. Next year it's 2 people. And it was actually Russ The Suss playing Puppet Master with Laura Mott, which got everything off of that scheduling where everybody was voted in and serving full terms. Okay. Vacancies in the office are addressed in section 1.050 of the charter, which state as follows. In the event of a death, resignation, disqualification of any of the members of the town council, a successor shall be elected by the remaining council persons at the regular meeting as the vacancy occurs. The successor shall serve as a council person until the next town election, at which time the qualified electors shall elect a council person to serve for the remainder of the expired term, if there be any. Now keep in mind, what that's saying, if somebody steps off of the board, that there isn't going to be a brand new election in Otter Creek. What's going to happen is the town council is actually going to appoint somebody and vote them in or vote them off. What I mean by that is you can't really vote them off, but you can say, we don't want you. So they can put in a letter of intent and the board members can say, we don't want you. And that's the situation they're in right now because Don the Con walked off and did not get sworn in, refused to be sworn in.
Because he did things the difficult way, just like Russ.
The exact same attitude, mentality, which is self-destruction. And so they're in that same scenario right now where they're taking letters of interest, and the 4 council members that exist will now vote in or vote no
They say
on
yay or
anybody.
nay. Mm-hmm.
Despite the above, because all the seats at large are right here, unnumbered. They're all unnumbered. Okay? In other words, there is no designation of any of the 5 seats. It is unclear how terms are allotted between a candidate elect to fill a vacancy along with other candidates due in a regular election cycle. Similarly, assuming there is a vacancy that results in an election for more than one of the numbered seats regularly up for election during the respective cycle, it's unclear how the town ever returns to the odd year and even year cycles required by the charter. In other words, what Belinda is saying is the charter sucks. The charter is incomplete. The charter doesn't tell you how to deal with these situations or the situation that Russ the Suss caused for the actual council with this puppet mastering of Laura Mott and her stepping down to run for county commissioner, which she failed miserably. Okay? Page 2 of Belinda's response. I'm going to try and go kind of quick on this one. Elections occurred as set forth in the charter until January 11, 2022, when a town council adopted Ordinance 2022-1, a copy of which is attached here to as Exhibit A. And the effect of this ordinance was to change the regular elections from being held in December of each year to being held to the first Tuesday in April of each year. Based on this ordinance, newly elected members of the town council shall take office during the first regular meeting in May. While this ordinance served to change the dates of the election and the associated dates for qualifying, a certain provision of the charter and its related to the elections remained unchanged. For example, pursuant of section 3.020 of the charter, the town council shall announce the date for the election, designate the seats available for the election, designate the opening and the closing dates of qualifying for the municipal election at the regular town council meeting in the October of each year. Thus, the responsibility for all the election-related functions rests within the town clerk, but only after the council has fulfilled its obligation of announcing the date of the election, the seats available for election, and the qualifying dates associated with the same. All right, so all this is basically saying is there's an election every April. And in October, the town council has to announce how many seats are open, who's running for the seats, and then the town clerk runs everything up to that election. Although 2023 was an odd year, which according to the charter would have ordinarily seen 3 members elected, due to a vacancy in offices, 4 members were elected. These council members were Therese Granger, Zim Paget, Russell Meeks, and in an effort to return on the regular election cycles mandated by the charter, at the regular meeting in July of 2023, Town Mayor Therese Granger first suggested that the council assign Mr. Meeks the 1-year term, which had had him running for re-election in 2024. A copy of the minutes from the July 11, 2023 meeting are attached to the exhibit here as Exhibit A. In response response to the town's attorney, Steve Worm, suggested that the town request an attorney general opinion regarding how that term should be assigned. A copy of the proposed request for the Attorney General's opinion was provided with the complaint. For unknown reasons, the request was never sent. As a result, the town did not receive any further guidance regarding resolution of this issue. The Attorney General never got back to anybody. They don't care. That's what it amounts to. They don't care. Because there is no law. So Madam Mayor could do exactly what she did. She went, Russ, you're getting the 1-year seat. During the next month's regular meeting held on August 8th, 2023, Mayor Granger again raised the issue of assigning Mr. Meeks the 1-year term. The minutes of the August 8th, 2023 meeting reflect that Mr. Meeks was assigned the 1-year term. As a matter of fact, everybody on the board voted on it, and that's part of the exhibits in here, and accepted it. In accordance with the section 3-020 as set forth, I, the town clerk, notified the public that 3 seats were up for election. The vacant seat resulting from the resignation of Gail Lamb and the seats held by Mr. Meeks and Don Severino. During the first week of January, after submitting the initial notification advising 3 seats available for the election, I received the written resignation of Mayor Therese Granger, effective December 30th, 2023, and that was because of Form 6. All right, the effect of Mayor Granger's resignation was that 4 seats were now up for election in an even year when the charter only contemplated 2 seats would be up for election. I had advertised 4 seats, designated 2 seats as 1-year terms, 2 seats as 2-year terms. This was done to ensure that the terms of the office for all these involved and elected were known by all, so to get back on the regular election cycles required by the charter, while also avoiding any dissension and disagreement over which of the 4 candidates would be up for election in 2025. There were no challenges to the method or the manner qualifying, including the seats up for election. Isn't that odd that not even Russ challenged that? So Russ didn't even challenge the election. All right, page 3 of what Belinda said.
He ran to the commission instead.
Yeah, well, that he did. That he did. All right, so Belinda goes on to say, at the close of the qualifying of January 26, 2024, there were 2 candidates qualified for the 2-year terms and 3 candidates qualified for the 1-year term. Mr. Meeks was not among the candidates who qualified because only 2 1-year term candidates qualified for the 2 vacant 1-year seats. It was believed that these 2 individuals should be seated as council members immediately without the need for election, which is true. Yet when the vice mayor, acting as mayor, given the resignation of Mayor Therese Granger on December 30th, 2023, with no replacement yet selected, attempted to seat those individuals, Mr. Meeks, along with Councilmember Don Severino, attempted to nominate someone who had not qualified for the 1-year seat instead. Interestingly, the individual that Mr. Meeks sought to seat was one of the 3 individuals that had qualified for the 2-year seats available. Instead, no one was seated, and this individual withdrew his name, that would be Stuart Stewart, withdrew his name considering resulting in only 2 qualified candidates for the 2-year seats. Given that there were only 2 candidates qualified for the 2-year seats available, the election was canceled. What was that?
Stuart Stewart?
Yes.
You know that name?
Yes.
The guy that notarized
Russ The Suss's complaint.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Another shady guy who wears diapers.
That wanted to see Russell's Florida license,
yes.
driver's license.
Yeah. And I'm not making fun of adults that wear diapers by any stretch of the imagination. I'm making fun of a very corrupt individual with knee-high socks and sandals, and it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling what these geriatrics are attempting to do. Now, I'm not making fun of geriatrics either, except these individuals are making life horrible for the residents. Obviously, there are older people that I love dearly, such as Belinda, her husband Doug, such as my neighbors here, Dan and Joanne, all more than twice my age. So,
but there are elders that believe they are above the law.
And Stuart Stewart is one of them. Russ the Suss is another. Don the Con is another. Rosemary is another, because they had their grip and their grasp on all this corruption for so long. Mary DeGroot is another. And at the same time, there are many beautiful people. The Hudson sisters, Darlene and Joyce and Belinda and Doug. And I can go on. And Gail. I love Gail. And I realize that there are some that go, man, we haven't met all these people in Otter Creek yet. You don't need to meet them all. They're loving individuals, and we think very highly and very fondly of them. As it relates to Mr. Meeks and his current complaint, it is the town's administration position that Mr. Meeks has waived any challenge to his assignment to the 1-year term because it was voted on and passed in the actual minutes, and we'll see that in a second, that Mr. Meeks has waived any challenge to his assignment at the one-year term and administrations, despite Mr. Meeks' statement that within this complaint that he just learned that she, the town clerk, is purporting to be filling the seat I occupy. This is simply untrue. As set forth, Mr. Meeks has been on notice of his assignment to a one-year term since July of 2023 and did nothing to remedy that assignment. Further, although the town has clearly advised the qualified candidates for the 4 seats for the election to occur in April of 2024, Mr. Meeks chose to wait until March 1st, 2024 to first raise this issue, and only did so after 4 candidates qualified opposing for 4 seats designated for an election, resulting in the cancellation of the upcoming election. In other words, if this was so important to him, why didn't this go to the Elections Commission immediately? Why did this only happen after there were unopposed seats for this council, which meant that Russ The Suss could not regain control and therefore terrorize the residents of Otter Creek in this election? Further, and more importantly, the town administration has acted at the behest and direction of the council with no challenge from the council at any stage of the proceedings. To the election date, available seats, qualifying dates were announced, advertised, and proceeded without any objection from any council, including Mr. Meeks. In other words, all this is going on, and he never objected to anything. Okay. Allowing Mr. Meeks to retain his seat prejudices for 4 individuals that qualified without opposition, or at a minimum, the 2 individuals who qualified for the 2-year seats would, at a minimum, the clerk could have proceeded with an election to determine which 2 qualified candidates should be elected to the 1 vacant 2-year seat, while Mr. Meeks retained his seat. In other words, why didn't he run for the election if this was so important to him? If Russ The Suss, he's great. Trust me, he's so great. He told me himself he's the greatest thing in the world for Otter Creek. Everybody loves him. Everybody. 98% of the people love him. Like Lynette and Crook, who put up signs all against him. And now they have nobody else with them, so they need to have him. Oh, they love him. They love him. Why didn't he run? That's what Belinda is saying.
He told her, you ain't getting nothing from me.
You ain't getting nothing from me. And then Belinda goes on to say, please feel free to contact me with any questions or requests. Further information, you can reach me at or email. And then she signs it, Belinda, which we can see right there, but we've taken out some of the information. Which, do not contact Belinda. As I've said this so many times, as we report on our lives, it is never, ever, ever appropriate to contact individuals that we are sharing the news of our lives about. So she goes on to share the Town of Otter Creek Code and Ordinances right here. Okay, this is updated from 1996, and she actually mentions quite a few of these things. But here's the important thing. Town of Otter Creek Town Council meeting, July 11th, 2023. Exhibit A, call to order. Okay. Now, in here is going to be the assignment, okay? Now, it's roll call is right here. So roll call, remember how important I've said roll call is? Madam Mayor Therese actually brought it in. All right, so we see Don Severino is there, Gail is there. Oh, who's that? George, who is that?
The Russ.
All right, Russ The Suss is actually there. So we have it recorded.
So was Worm.
Yes, Worm was there as well. So we have it recorded in the minutes, right? It's right here. All right, and let's see. Old business. All right, page 2 of the minutes. Look at this. 1-year term for council member. Mayor Granger submits the term should be assigned to Russell Meeks Sr. due to the lack of attendance at meetings and the failure to successfully perform mayoral duties during his previous term, causing unnecessary burden of the town. Attorney Warm suggests that the state attorney should be contacted to verify how the 1-year seat or term should be decided upon. And we could go on and on. All right. And let's see. There
was a lot discussed at that meeting.
Yeah, there was so much.
Wasn't the French toast casserole?
Oh, French toast
brought
casserole.
up during that meeting?
This is so much. Look at all this. I'm just looking for where Russ The Suss objected. Wait, hold a second. There's another page there. Nothing. Okay.
These are just the meeting minutes.
This is just the meeting minutes. Nope, still nothing. Okay. Missing cell phone. We got Sam's Club fraud. Literally, Sam's Club fraud. This is from Mary DeGroot. Right there. All right, let's keep going. So we got missing cell phone. Russ The Suss allegedly has in his possession somewhere, allegedly. I don't know that that's been proven yet or not, and so I will say allegedly. That is another one. Oh boy, there is another page. All right, this is, my goodness.
There was a lot of topics
There
to
is
go
a
over.
lot of stuff. Most of it was about all of Russ The Suss's horrible tenure. And then we finally get to the last page, okay? And so, adjournment, further business recorded by the clerk, approved mayor. This document is a draft until signed by the mayor, and okay, well, there's the mayor's signature was right there.
Mm-hmm.
So why did you take her signature out?
Because there's a lot of crazy people out there.
That's true. Russ The Suss.
Don't want any identity theft.
So what Belinda is saying, hey, this whole meeting went on. I mean, you just saw it was like 8, 7, 10 pages. I don't know. There was a lot of stuff going on. He was assigned the seat. And then the Attorney General was reached out to by Madam Mayor Therese with no response. There is no law. This is all opinion. And therefore, she can implement her opinion of what she thought was best for the town, which she did. She clearly stated because of his horrible attendance, because of his horrible leadership for the town, for putting the town in so much legal liability, he would be assigned.
He didn't even attend any workshops.
Not a one.
He didn't even offer to help during the transition.
Why are you looking at me when you're the one talking?
Oh, I'm done talking. I said what I need to say.
Well, this doesn't work very well if I put the camera on you later. Can you give me a heads up next time? All right, so for what we're waiting for, what did the Florida Elections Commission have to say? Looks like George highlighted quite a bit and redacted quite a bit here. Because she's read it, I haven't. So we're going to get
This is all new for you.
Wait, what was that?
This is all new for you.
Oh, I thought you were done already.
I am done.
Okay. Next time, a heads up. All right. So this is what the Florida Elections Commission decided and determined and sent to none other than Russ The Suss. I wish that S was a the. Russ The Suss Sr. Case number, respondent, Town of Otter Creek Administration. Dear Mr. Suss. How funny would that be if it actually did say that? I have a feeling the Florida Elections Committee and Commission are probably followers, if not fans, of What the Hales, and they have seen the insanity of Otter Creek, and they want it to go away.
That's just your opinion, though.
Just like we do. We want it all to go away. We want everything to go in a positive direction. But it goes on to say, right here, the Florida Elections Commission has received your complaint alleging violation of Florida's election laws. Remember, alleging. And this is what they have to say about it to Russ The Suss after Belinda responds for the town of Otter Creek.
With timelines, receipts, and proof.
Got it all. Has it all. Complainant essentially took the issue with the post-election organizational decision of the Otter Creek Town Council. He alleged that a member of the council, whose term would not expire until 2024, resigned in 2023, and someone was appointed to fill that person's place until the next regularly scheduled election, pursuant to the town's charter. In April of 2023 election, 3 seats on the town council were to be filled, including 2 seats regularly up for election and the unexpired term of the person who resigned and was temporarily replaced by an appointee. Here we go. 3 individuals were elected, including complainant and the person who had been appointed to fill the vacancy, but they all ran at large and for, can you read? I
For
can't
no
see
particular seat on the town council.
All right. In other words, what the commission is saying, no seats were designated for anyone. Therefore, anyone could be in any seat and appointed to any seat. That's what they're saying. All right. As such, the question arose after the election as to which one of the electees would serve the unexpired term that would expire in 2024, and which would have to full 2-year terms that would not expire until 2025. And according, right here, where'd it go? And according to the complainant, the town attorney was of the, can you read it?
The opinion
That
the appointee should inherit the unexpired term and suggested requesting an opinion on the matter from the Attorney General. The town attorney drafted a request for opinion. However, the mayor of Otter Creek allegedly decided unilaterally
Massachusetts that the complainant would be assigned the remainder of the expired term.
All right. So what they're doing is rehashing history, what Russ the Suss actually said. And so what they just said is, Worm said, yeah, you can assign him the seat, but before we do that, let's talk to the Attorney General. And then it goes on to say that the mayor did not actually contact the Attorney General. I happen to know for a fact that she did contact the Attorney General, and the Attorney General never contacted back. So this really should say the Attorney General never responded. So that goes on to then say that the complaint alleged that the Otter Creek Town Clerk announced candidates for April 2024 election, and she is purporting to be filling the seat I occupy. All right, so that's another thing that he was complaining about. It is returning to the clerk. It's right here for April 2024, and she is basically she's putting up the seat that he occupies for election, and she did legally. All right, but he's complaining about it, which is funny because if it was such a big issue, again, why didn't he run? Why didn't he run? All right, so they're basically rehashing what he complained. And now she's putting my seat up for election. How dare she? Russ the Suss playing victim again. Oh my goodness, it gets so old listening to people complain and play victim. It really gets old when all the facts are there, that they're not the victim, they're a cause of these things in their life. All right, and then it says, I feel that the arbitrary purported action of the mayor was a nullity and that I was elected by the voters to a 2-year term, which does not expire until the year 2025. That's quoting Russ the Suss's complaint that he never even had written, whatever you want to say. All right, complainant categorized this as fraudulent, George's favorite word.
Hate that word.
And unlawful. And intended to deprive me of the office and betray the voters who put me there. Oh my goodness, this 100% sounds like a shart. Better check my pants.
He was betrayed?
Betrayed? Oh no. Next paragraph. In response to the complaint, the town clerk acknowledged that following the initial election in which all 5 council members were elected, the charter provides that all terms shall be for 2 years. She stated that all council members are elected at large and there are no districts, no seat numbers. Therefore, it's unclear how terms are allotted between a candidate elected to fill a vacancy along with other candidates due to the regular election cycle. Similarly, assuming there is a vacancy that results in an election for more than the number of seats regularly up for election, during the prospective or respective cycle, it is unclear how the town ever returns to the odd year and even year cycle required by the charter. The town clerk further stated the responsibility for the election related functions rest within the town clerk, but only after the council has fulfilled its obligation of announcing the date and the election and the seats available for the election and qualifying dates associated with time. And this is the most powerful paragraph right here. This complaint does not state a what?
Cognizable.
Keep going, because I can't read.
Under any section of Chapter 104 or 106 Florida statute, and essentially request the commission to intervene in a matter over which it has no jurisdiction. For these reasons, I find the complaint to be legally insufficient, and this case is hereby closed.
In other words, suck it, Russ the Suss. He tried with his whole legal team.
They saw right through his sus.
All of his supporters, his fans, who only further help incriminate. And the commission said, no zoop for you. No council seat for you. No seat, no zoop, no nothing for you.
No vote.
And went on to say, if you have any questions concerning the complaint, please contact us. And the executive director
even puts their own signature on it.
Where's Russ the Suss been? He's been trying to play games behind the scenes, and he has lost miserably. After releasing the first video about Russ the Suss making the complaint, I was contacted by former mayor, Madam Mayor Teresa, and her husband, which reminded me, and I completely and totally forgot. Madam Mayor went to the state representative, Kat McCamick, about this whole issue. And you know what she had to say? It's an opinion set the precedent, instead of having to hear from Ashley Moody, the Attorney General. The state rep even agreed. It's just an opinion. Do whatever you want.